The Championship weekend kicks off in the best possible way with Leicester City playing against Birmingham City. What an opening game we have got to kick off match week 4 in the Championship. If you're a Championship fan, if you're a Birmingham City fan, if you're a Leicester City fan, do hit subscribe on this channel because we do daily Championship content talking about Birmingham City, talking about Leicester the majority of days as well. So do hit subscribe if you are a fan of both of those clubs. And let's jump straight into this video. So as we're saying with Birmingham City, do they have a slight problem? It's definitely been raised by the fan base and they are a little bit concerned about the kind of overall goals and overall chance creation. In the last two matches has been pointed out that only 2 shots on target against Oxford and Port Vale, mostly going into this Port Vale game. It is the Carabao Cup, you can't read so much into it, but there's no denying this was an absolutely atrocious performance from Birmingham City as far as they're concerned, and the standards that they've had so far this season, which I do think has been an excellent start to the season. There has obviously been a couple of flaws and a couple of holes, but obviously they're a newly promoted club coming up from League One at the end of the day. You're not going to have everything perfect within the first few weeks of the Championship season. But as I say, I think they've started the season really well, and for the majority, it's been very, very positive. By the way, if I'm a little bit echoey, I apologise. I'm literally moving flats right now, so that's the reason if I am a little bit echoey. It sounds a bit echoey in my room. So just to point that out. So as I say, Port Vale were much the better side, and that was one of the worst Birmingham City performances under Chris Davis since he's been appointed. There hasn't been many bad ones, but this one has definitely got to be down there in terms of how poor the performance was. To have that much of the ball and not really create any good chances in the slightest. And again, as I say, 0 shots on target in the match. And Port Vale thoroughly deserved the win. They came to St Andrews and put in an excellent performance, defended well, and as well as that, of course, created a couple of big chances as well and managed to put one in the back of the net. So a completely deserved win for Port Vale. As I say, it's not the end of the world. It's the League Cup. You can't read too deep into a Carabao Cup game because at the end of the day, it all matters in this game against in this Leicester game coming up and how Birmingham can respond to that. But I mean, it was a pretty strong Birmingham City side. You've got to say a couple of players making their debut. Marvin Dutch coming into the side, getting 45 minutes. Of course, he's not really up to speed yet. Of course, with him just coming back from injury. Fujimoto as well making an appearance as well. And as I say, performance-wise, it just wasn't great. I think Koumas was quite bright for Birmingham City from what I've seen. And other than that, there isn't really much too positive. I've seen a lot of people going at Cashin. It's tough for Cashin, you know. He hasn't played all too much football in 2025, so it will take him a little bit to maybe get into things. A lot of Birmingham City fans weren't a fan of Cashin, but we've seen him at Derby County when he got a run of games. He was very, very good. But as I say, will be able to get that run of games in a Birmingham City side when you've got Clara, of course, and you've got Newman as well. It's going to be difficult for Cashin to get games week in, week out without one of those two centre-backs playing really poorly or getting an injury. But as I say, it's a very, very strong Birmingham City side there. Of course, a few players that we won't really be seeing as much this season, probably like of Lyndon Dykes, Sam Stead as well. A few players we probably won't see all too much of. But it was a pretty strong Birmingham City side, you have to say. And as I say, Port Vale definitely did do a job on them. And things for Birmingham City up next, it's not easy, is it? Going away to Leicester, it's very, very difficult. And by the way, with Leicester, they've had some very positive news come out recently that they've sold a few players. I mean, they've got some fantastic fees for players. You look at the likes of Casey McAteer, they got £13 million for. They also got a big fee for Hermansson as well. And then another sale as well of James Justin over at fullback, who was pretty poor last season. The Premier was genuinely one of the worst players in the Premier League. Obviously in the Championship, he's a very good Championship player, let's be real. But they got a good fee for him of £10 million. And that actually means that Leicester now, from what I'm aware and what I'm seeing, they don't actually have to sell Bilal Okanus, which is such big news for them in terms of creativity in the side. A few Leicester fans have kind of questioned his attitude at the start of the season. He did well in the first game, he got a couple of assists. But they've questioned his attitude in terms of does he actually want to be at Leicester. But from what it looks like now, he's going to have to lock himself in because it looks like he will be staying at Leicester City. With now Leicester making those signings I discussed before, it looks like they're back in check with PSR now, so they don't have to make a sale, so they can kind of do it a bit more on their terms in terms of the transfer fee they would get for El Kanous. If they wanted to have, say, Crystal Palace or a Spurs, or whoever's interested, they'd have to pay a little bit more than what they probably would have if Leicester weren't in them kind of PSR issues like they were at the start of the transfer window. So some big news for Leicester in terms of that. Such an important player he could be this season. In the Championship, this guy could be an absolute joke. I mean, his numbers in the Premier weren't exactly fantastic in terms of goal output, 2 goals, 3 assists. Not fantastic, he doesn't actually turn any heads or anything like that. But you got to kind of take into account the Leicester side that he was playing in last season. He was the main creative outlet in that Leicester team. And as I say, when you're in the Premier League, being a team at Leicester City with the quality they have compared to the other teams, it was always going to be difficult for him. And he's 21 years old, literally just turned 21. This guy will develop into a fantastic player. And I genuinely think a season in the Championship for him could be really beneficial towards his growth and in terms of kind of kind of taking the reins in terms of being that main man for Leicester City, again in the Championship, but actually getting kind of an output to return that which he didn't get in the Premier League. And there's a reason why Premier League clubs are interested in him, because his quality is absolutely undoubted. And with that as well, Leicester City have got a very strong team. This is not going to be an easy game for Birmingham in the slightest. You look at Fatawu. Now, don't get me wrong, Leicester in their last match against Charlton were very, very poor. They were below standards. Their goalkeeper put in an excellent performance. But when you say that, you're going to keep, if your goalkeeper's going to have a performance like that, and you've got the kind of individual quality that Leicester have got in that attacking third, Birmingham City, what we've seen with Birmingham is they've struggled in terms of putting games to bed, in terms of taking chances when they do get chances, as well as maybe creating not enough chances while in certain games as well. When you look at Leicester's individual talent, it could definitely get punished very easily if Birmingham City aren't on top form in terms of them going forward and taking their chances, because you've got a player, as I say, in Fatawu in that game against Charlton, where Leicester were much the second best in that game for the majority of the game that I watched. And Fatawu, which goes and pulls him out of the bag, he picks the ball up, cuts inside and puts one into the top corner. That's the kind of quality that Leicester City have, that Birmingham have to be absolutely aware of, because players like this, you don't need to be dominating a game when you've got players that can just turn the screw and just do something like that out of completely nothing. You've got to be aware of that. And as I say, Birmingham City have got to be on top form against this Leicester City side, who, as I say, have had it tough so far this season. They just about got through Sheffield Wednesday. They struggled against Preston badly, and Preston very much deserved to win that game as well. And then against Charlton, they struggled, but they did manage to get the wins. And as I say, they have that kind of individual quality where the good sides, when they're not playing well, as we saw with Birmingham against Blackburn, if you're not playing well, you sometimes just grind out a result and you get them kind of moments. Where Leicester City, of course, performance-wise, has been nowhere near what they wanted, but they're still on 6 points. They've done the best so far out of the relegated teams in the Premier League last season. So going into the game, I think Leicester will see it as an opportunity Friday night at their home stadium. And Birmingham City losing the last game against Port Vale, they'll see it as an opportunity to get 3 wins out of 4, and it's not a terrible start, you're saying, for Leicester there, despite the performances not really being on it. But as I say, Birmingham in the league, I've been really impressed with them. Obviously, a few fans kind of have a few reservations right now with what's going on in terms of chance creation and not scoring enough goals at the end of the day when they have created the chances, which is a completely valid concern. But as I say, I do stress that it is only the start of the season, and Birmingham still are unbeaten so far in the season, 2 wins and a draw, and arguably it could have been 3 wins if that decision doesn't go against them against Ipswich. It could be 3 wins out of 3 from Birmingham, and you're sat with a 100% record after the first 3 games. And as well as that, it was a slightly rotated team, of course, as well. You have players like osayi, Samuel, Ethan Laird as well. These players that missed the game and didn't start the game can come back into the side that have been so good for Birmingham so far this season. So as I say, it's not all too much to panic about, I wouldn't say, so far. But there definitely is a few alarm bells ringing, but it's still very early days in the season. And as I say, it's not too much to worry about with that Port Vale game, because you look at the side, actually, I've just looked at it here, it's 10 changes that they've made, I believe. You've got Newman as the only starter who you'd imagine will start in that game. I'd imagine Birmingham will go back to the kind of team that played against Oxford, which, yes, they didn't they didn't score enough chances from what they created. You look at the likes of Kyogo, who has got definite pressure on him. Now, of course, Marvin Dutch should come back, obviously still returning to full fitness. It's got to be a point where Kyogo, you've got to think, has got to be taking these chances. And obviously, there is going to be pressure on him from Birmingham City fans with obviously a big transfer fee. And he has missed a few real good opportunities this season where you feel like he definitely could have had a few more goals. But I have stressed this numerous times as well. At least he's getting in them positions to score. Obviously, it's infuriating seeing him miss 2 really good chances against Oxford. Really infuriating. But he is getting on the end of the chance, and you'd rather your striker look dangerous than be non-existent at all and not get involved in the play and not get on the end of any chances. And when you've got the creativity coming back into the side, of course, Gray will be starting this game. He's been fantastic since signing for Birmingham, by the way. I've been really impressed with him. He was a signing that was definitely raised a few eyebrows at the time, but he really has showed his Premier League quality that he's got in terms of delivery and kind of keeping his head as well in the final third for the big moments. And as well as that, of course, the midfield duo will come back in as well, and as well as that, the fullbacks as well, which have been so important to Birmingham City in the way that they play this season. The likes of Osayi, Samuel, even Ethan Laird now playing at this left back role for now, both being fantastic this season. They've got 2 really good options over that fullback position. And it's not all too much a panic about, as I say. The team that started the game against Port Vale is not going to be the team that starts against Leicester next game. And it's a completely different game playing against Leicester, playing a game against Port Vale. Of course, Leicester will like to have a lot of the ball as well. It's going to be a very interesting game to see how that's going to pan out, because Birmingham will want to have the ball. But then they can also be so threatening on the counter-attack when you look at the likes of Kyogo, who can make them intelligent runs in behind. Jay Stansfield, the same pace on the break as well with Demarai Gray in the side as well. It'll be very interesting to see what kind of tactical battle it is and see how both teams set up, see who dominates the ball. And as I say, it's going to be a really interesting game, that is. And it's going to be a very much different Birmingham City side to the side that we did see on Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday night in the Carabao Cup against Port Vale. And that's not even it, Birmingham still have a couple more days in the transfer market. The transfer window is obviously over very, very soon. But I do think Birmingham might go back into the market. You might see another signing come the end of the window, maybe even 2 signings by the end of the window. And we know Birmingham, they always have players linked right now. I feel like all summer we've had players linked with Birmingham constantly. And who knows, there might be a statement signing come the end of the window, which could be really good and really big in terms of Birmingham's chances in terms of what they want to do and what they want to achieve this season, which I'd imagine is probably getting into the playoffs this season. As I say, this is a huge, huge match in terms of that, because come the end of the season, you never know how close these two teams could be together. Of course, we expect a points deduction for Leicester. I mean, it's been talked about for it's been talked about like 2 or 3 months, probably even longer. This point deduction in the Championship for Leicester, it's just never come. Are they ever going to get this points deduction? Is it ever going to happen? Because I heard it was going to be like an 8-point deduction, whatever it was. And that's absolutely huge for Leicester in terms of their automatic promotion chances or playoff chances or whatever they're trying to do this season. I think if they get this points deduction, they need to be trying to get into the playoffs. And come the end of the season, you never know how close these two teams might be together, because I absolutely expect Birmingham to be up there come the end of the season. And Leicester, with the players like El Koumas, Fatawu, the quality they've got in that side, even with a points deduction, you would expect Leicester to be up there come the end of the season. So this is going to be a big game in terms of the Championship. Whoever wins this, or if there is going to be a winner, it's a real statement. I think if Birmingham go on a Friday night away from home to the King Power and go and bag themselves a result, it could be a real statement. Of course, on the night, it would make them top of the league as well on 10 points. They did go ahead and get that win. So it'd be great to see Birmingham City make that kind of start to the season, and it will kind of put any doubts in place. They can put in a good performance, maybe be clinical in the attack if they actually do get a few chances, put them away. And if they can hold this Leicester side in terms of going forward, because we know that kind of attacking talent, but we know Birmingham defensively have been really, really impressive. Clara, Newman, that back line has been very solid and very difficult to break down for every single team pretty much that Birmingham have played against, in terms of they haven't given up too many chances in terms of that first 11 for Birmingham. As I say, this is probably, Ipswich was a big test, but this Leicester side, when you look at Fatawu, if El Koumas is playing as well, it's going to be a big test for that defence. And if they can hold firm again, you're looking at a real solid back line for Birmingham. And as I say, it's going to be a huge game, and it's going to be a statement game for whoever side does win this game, because as I say, I think these two sides will be up there come the end of the season. Anyway, that will about do for the video. If you enjoyed it, do drop a like down below. If you're a Birmingham City fan, please do hit that subscribe button. We do a lot of Birmingham City content on this channel. And as well as that, if you're a Leicester fan as well, we talk about Leicester a lot as well. We're going to be talking about Leicester a lot more, I'd imagine, as the season gets on, because Leicester we expect to be up there come the end of the season. So if you're a Birmingham City fan, if you're a Leicester fan, do hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for tuning in. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. It'd be very greatly appreciated. It only takes 1 second. And I'm buzzing to watch this game. Friday night football in the Championship. It doesn't get much bigger than Birmingham City versus Leicester. 2 teams that are going to be up there. 2 teams that are massive clubs. I'm looking forward to watching this game. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.